Hey everyone, this is Rachel and I'm here for another episode of Get Sketchy with Christy and Rachel. If you noticed the layout right before I started talking, you'll note that we are doing a lift instead of a sketch. Back a couple months ago, we decided to switch it up every month, do one lift and one sketch. So that is the one we are working on. I will put the information for who it is by, hopefully on the screen, as well as in the description box, if I remember. So before I go ahead and start the layout, I just want to explain, now I've explained this before, but normally, unless I'm using a sketch, I don't pre-plan anything, just doing a regular layout. When I'm doing a lift, I do like to pull things to see what I have that could be similar or just give the same idea as what the person originally did in their original design of the layout. So I've pulled some things together, some wood veneer letters, some acrylic pieces, some flair, some inks that will work with the 6x6 color pad, 6x6 paper pad. I see colors and I see color pad. 6x6 paper pad that I'm going to be using today, along with some stickers and some embellishments. So I'm going to go ahead and get you put on fast forward and we will continue with the layout. See you in a few seconds. Bye. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get this started. And the first thing I'm going to do is cut down my 6x6. Okay, I got a little spot on my white paper, so I was a little annoyed with myself. We're going to get my 6x6 paper pack, and this is by Fancy Pants called True Friend. It's a little bit of an older collection, but it just really worked well, I think, for my color palette. So I started cutting off 2x1/4 and 2x1/4, but I cut them down to 2 inches by 2 inches. I thought that worked better, and that way I was able to get 5 in rather than 4. Now I am going to go ahead and cut my photo down. Now it's not going to be as small as in the original piece. I believe I cut it down 3.5 by 3.5, but I didn't want to make it so small as the original one was. Yeah, I was seeing if I needed it smaller, and I thought I did. Okay, so once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and get started with my mixed media. I'm using my Distress inks, the mini cubes I have. I'm going to start off with Scattered Straw, and I'm just going to mist it and then splooge it down on the page. Very messily here. Then I am going to Dried Marigold, and then I'm going to add some Cracked Pistachio. And I'm going to finish it off with Abandoned Coral. And I thought those colors really, really went well with the True Friend line from Fancy Pants. They blended perfectly. And now that I've got my packaging technique down, I'm going to take a little bit of each color and a paintbrush and just kind of do some little splatters. Now later on, I'm going to add more splatters. In the original piece, there are definitely 2 different types of mixed media she's using because the splatters have a lot of shine to them, whereas the watercolor work does not have as much shine to it in her original piece. Excuse me. So I'm just going to take my heat gun to it for a little bit. I don't normally do this, but I was trying to finish it all in one setting. Usually I would just set it aside and go do something else, but I had a limited amount of time to scrapbook on this day, so I just went ahead and took my heat gun, knew the word would come to me at some point, and went ahead and worked with it. Now I'm going to have to move my papers over more towards the center than the original piece, mainly because I did my watercoloring too far over to the left. So I'm going to go ahead, and because this page is so simple and there's so few elements on it, it's important to me to make sure it's all lined up. Now I grabbed my ruler at first, and then I realized I need to get my centering ruler, and I'm going to go ahead and do that right now, and use that to make sure everything is lined up and they're all equidistant from the center piece. And as I said, because there's so few actual elements to this, that was very important to me. And you can tell that because normally I would cut, once I got this first piece glued down, I would just go ahead and cut the rest of it out. Just because for me, this is the part that's boring. You know, what are you going to do? But instead, I left this first row on. I am going to go ahead and cut away when I do the second row, just for timing purposes, this is already a longer video than I usually like to do. So while I'm doing that, I will tell you that Christy and I were both super, super excited to work with this lift. We found the original just to be it's so simple, but it's just so elegant in a way that we were both very happy with the way these turned out, and we were both very happy to be able to work with the lift in the first place. Okay, so now that I'm almost getting to the part where I'm going to cut away from this, I will go on to what I do next in the layout. Is once I get all of these laid out, all I really have to do is follow the lift, because this is one I just thought was so, like I said, I thought it was so elegant. I really enjoyed working with it. So I'm going to get my photo placed where the original is kept, and basically what I did was pulled from my stash things that I thought gave the same effect as the original. So I have this paper clip from Freckled Fawn, and I'm going to tuck that over my photo, and I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the top because I'm crazy and I'm like, there's a little shadow there and I don't particularly care for it. I'm sure nobody else on the planet would have noticed this. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add my spatters, and I have 4 different colors of the Heidi Swapp Color Shine. I start off with butter. Yeah, yes, butter. Yay, I got it right. I start off with butter, and then I move on to pink, and then mint, and then finally peach. I wasn't sure if it was peach or blush, but it is definitely peach. Okay, so once I get those down, I'm going to start working on the rest of my layout. Now I have these 2 different flare, and I decided pretty much off the top that I'm going to go with the aqua one. Now here's a funny story. I thought that I had lost or had never received my Scraptastic flare from May, and as I was looking for something, I found it. It must have slid out of the package and right off my table onto something else in a shelf, and I looked everywhere for it, but I just never looked there because it's not an obvious place to look. Okay, moving on to the actual layout, I pulled out one of the hearts from the Illustrated Faith She Blooms mix by Bella Boulevard. There's a name for you. And then I added 2 puffy stickers that come from an exclusive package for Scraptastic that was made by Pink Fresh Studio. Now, these wood veneer letters I got as part of a prize package for National Scrapbooking Day from Tiffany of the Scrap Gals. She does use, not she, Tiffany, but she, the woman who made this layout originally, used wood veneer letters. I actually hadn't planned on using them until I happened to get these in the prize pack, and I was like, well, this is, perfect, so I'll go ahead and use that. So before I glue those down, I'm like, I do want to do my journaling down the left-hand side of the papers, so I should probably do that before I glue down those textured letters. So once I finish my journaling, and this is talking about my niece's first trip to this island. It's in the coast, off the coast of Rhode Island. It is not very fancy. It is not a resort area. But it's fun if all you want to do is go to the beach and make your own meals and stuff like that. Okay. Moving on, back to the layout, I add that wood veneer 4, and that is either from a Scraptastic kit or a Studio Calico kit that I bought on clearance a long time ago. I do not know which. And then I'm going to add 2 phrase stickers from the black and white tiny text by Bella Boulevard, and I cut one of those in half just for length reasons. And then I go to this We Are Family alpha sheet from Simple Stories, and I'm going to use one of the tile texts that's on that sheet to put the other word from the title, which is island. So once I get these wood veneer alphas glued down, the only other last few things I'm going to do is glue down the acrylic hearts, and then I'm going to add some Pink Fresh Studio sequin puffs to each of the areas where the acrylic hearts are. And then after that, I do find 2 tone-on-tone phrase stickers from that We Are Family sheet, and I'm going to go ahead and add those. There's like a reddish one that I add to the red, and then there is a yellow one, I think. Yes, there's a yellow one that I add under the wood, a flare. The word is flare. Okay, Anyways, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you guys so much for joining us here. Please go over to Christy's video and watch it. I will put a link to her video in the description box. Like me if you want to, and subscribe if you're not. I love sharing my scrapbooking with everyone, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about anything I did. Have a great day, everyone, and bye!